Thank you very much.
It's
Have
utopia.
fun. Indeed. Well, the debate over Muslim headwear has been intense over the past couple of days, with new security measures in Parliament House set to be introduced. So, what about the Muslim women caught in the middle of all of this? To give us their perspective on the debate, we're joined now by Anissa Khan, a fifth-generation Australian who has worn the niqab since she was 22, Silma Iram, who converted to Islam in 1976 and has worn variations of the hijab since, and Rabia Khan, a lawyer who only wears the hijab on special occasions. Thank you all very much for coming in. Very much appreciate it. If I can start with you, Anissa, you started wearing the niqab at the age of 22. Why was that?
I gave birth to my second child at that time, and it was at the time of September 11. Obviously, the Muslim population in Australia was being targeted. There was a lot of turmoil. I decided to study my religion further because I was raised very culturally, not sort of from an Islamic perspective. And when I studied the life of the Prophet, I fell in love like you do with any hero or any, people who love Michael Jackson or Justin Bieber. They want to duplicate their lifestyle. So I basically want to duplicate the lifestyle of the Prophet Muhammad. Peace and blessings upon him, and be a role model for my children. So for me, it's more a spiritual connection with God.
Making that decision at a time when the Muslim religion really came into view in a way, and a lot of people started becoming very suspicious about the religion.
Yes.
Was that seen by people as provocative?
No, not really. I think I had the advantage where I hold my head up high. Being a fifth-generation Australian, I know how to stand and defend myself. I know what my rights are. And I think when you have that character where you can come across people and break down those barriers and interact with them. For me, I didn't know, in my community, nobody found it provocative at the time. Australia
is such an open society, and obviously we can only see your eyes at the moment. Can you understand why some people might feel uncomfortable with that?
Yes, totally. I totally understand that, but I think it does come back to a lack of education, ignorance and intolerance, and I think Australia now being such a multicultural society, if we could have more open dialogue with one another, because I know a person who spends a day in my life or a week in my life will totally understand what a niqabi's life is, that we are everyday women and everyday mums just like other people out there.
Silma, by wearing the veil, you're immediately indicating your religion. Why is that important to you?
I'm very proud to be a Muslim. It's been nearly 40 years and I've never regretted for one moment becoming a Muslim. There's a lot of advantages in wearing the hijab. We have a very sexualised society, and it makes it very clear straight away that my interaction with people is based on my professionalism or my friendliness, and it helps define the relationship to a certain extent. It makes me feel a lot more comfortable, and it's difficult sometimes being an obvious ambassador for your religion, but at the same time, it means that I'm very conscious all the time that I wear my religion on my head, not necessarily on my sleeve. But yeah, so it's challenging, but it's good, and it connects me spiritually with my religion as well.
Rabia, you share the same faith, and yet you take a different approach. Why have you chosen not to wear any headwear?
Well, it's not out of any opposition or objection to it or the idea of it. I think for me, wearing the hijab is a spiritual experience, and I cover my hair 5 times a day when I pray. I wear it on special occasions. So for me, it's really something very personal and deep between me and God. And I never wanted to put it on without being 100% sure that I wasn't later on going to take it off. So for me, it was more about being able... If I did that, it would be like not being able to fulfil a promise. So that's why, at this stage in my life, I'm not wearing the hijab.
Silma, so much of the discussion of the last couple of days since the Prime Minister came out and said that he found the burqa confronting has centred around the burqa, and it's confused people because the burqa is actually the full body garment,
yes,
with just the mesh across the eyes,
exactly,
which we can
exactly
see there on the
yes,
screen.
Yes.
And I think what confuses a lot of people, I mean, the burqa, the Quran is mentioned, the Quran mentions the burqa, but it doesn't say that it's a requirement. And I think what people struggle with is what is the point of completely disguising a woman to that extent?
And look, this is something which has occupied scholars for generations, why you wear what you wear, when you wear what you wear. I mean, this is, I think, much of the misunderstanding about what Sharia is. Sharia is not a fixed set of rules. It's based on the Quran and the practice of the Prophet, and it's applied in context, in the time, after much consideration of all the repercussions for the decisions that are made. So in some cultures and in some times, different clothing is worn, and there's requirements for men, not just for women.
What are those requirements?
So men must cover from the navel to the knees.
But why not the face? Given that the face is such the real point of communication between human beings.
Yes. Well, in fact, on Hajj, Muslim women are not allowed to cover their face. So if a woman covers her face, it's an added step that she's taking in terms of being totally modest, because it's all about modesty. And establishing that relationship with God.
So why don't men need that same modesty when they're out in public?
Because the woman's face, and you can see from the advertising industry in terms of fashion and beauty, the woman's face is a very attractive item. And for Muslim women, it's for our families, not for strangers. So that's why if a guy comes up, you know, as we do in our society, and kisses you and wants to engage with you in any kind of over-friendly manner, it's not permitted in Islam, because we're here as professionals, not as sexualised women. So we engage in terms of our brains and not in terms of our female status.
I suppose what most Australians who've been in this discussion and feel uncomfortable with the headwear feel, and you know, there's an element of believing that women are oppressed by this, and that just gentle communication between the sexes that has nothing to do with anybody wanting to race anybody off or anybody thinking any lesser of anybody, has really kind of hijacked this. And people are concerned that when women make this decision, they're making it because the man at home owns them and he's making the decision for them. So can we clarify that?
Absolutely not. And all of us, and that you'll find the vast, vast majority of women who wear the hijab, particularly in this country, which is all about individual rights and so on, do it because we do it for our own spiritual reasons. We like wearing the hijab. I mean, honestly, there's a huge industry in fashion in hijab at the moment, and Australia's one of the greatest contributors to that. We've had faith fusion fashion in the Powerhouse Museum.
That's right.
We've had many different, we've got a flourishing business which is exporting around the world in terms of women's fashion, regarding the hijab and regarding Muslim clothing. So this is something that we choose to do. It's part of our identity as Australian Muslims. We're proud of it and we love it, and it's not something that in any way recognises oppression. And the funny thing is, sometimes men get upset when women want to take that independent stand and say, no, I'm my own person. I will dress the way I want to dress. And it's got nothing to do with you. It's got to do with what I want to do.
Anissa, with you wearing the headdress that you do you ever have any issues if you are asked for reasons of security and identification to remove your headwear?
No, I actually travel frequently with my husband. Being a manager a few years ago for about 10 years with a skincare company, every customs check I've ID'd myself, every RTA check, every banking requirement, if it's the law, we ID ourselves.
Can I ask the three of you, have you had much reaction since this debate that really has intensified this week that's been negative?
Personally, no, because I think we're all very confident women. I think if you feel like you're a victim, sometimes you're treated like a victim.
That's right.
But I have to say we've had so many letters of support. And we really thank all those people who've written in and saying this doesn't represent us, and really offering whatever they can do to give us courage and to give us help and to say, look, you know, we support you in what you wanted to do. So, and this is from Aussies.
Yeah, we've had endless emails, endless Facebook messages that we stand behind you. We're not, you know, a racist nation. We want to live in harmony, and it's a beautiful country. We love Australia. And we're Dinky Die Aussies.
Well, Anissa, Silma and Rabia, it's lovely of you to come in, and it's great to make sure that this open communication continues. Lovely to meet all three of you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
And you can let us know your thoughts. You can email us, Facebook us, or send us a tweet. But right now, it's over to Ben.
Fascinating discussion.